So I should maybe try to explain to people a little bit more about this issue of entropy. So there's this notion that's come out of theory of perception that any set of objects, or any object for that matter, is different from any other object and the same as any other object, any other object, any other object, any other object, any other object. I always think of two goblets standing on a table, and you might say, well, they're identical, but they're not. The surface of one goblet is very much unlike the surface of another, and you'd have to render that at high resolution in order to represent it accurately on a canvas. And then they differ in weight, and they differ in the regularity of the surface, and they might differ in age. There's all sorts of differences between them that you might not think are germane or relevant, but that's really the issue, is why do you regard some similarities as crucial and some differences as irrelevant. And so here's something I'd like to run by you. Imagine a hierarchy of perception and conception. So the idea is two goblets are identical if I can drink out of either of them using the same pattern of perception and action. That's kind of an indication of the entropy constrained by the notion of wishing to drink. Any two things are substitutable as long as they leave me with the ability to drink as an axiom of my current action set. Because I can't understand how you can bind resemblance otherwise if any two things differ in a near infinite number of ways. They differ in terms of the microstates that they might be composed of. That would be a way of thinking about it from the perspective of entropy theory. So if they're substitutable within a higher hierarchical conception, then they're identical perceptually and conceptually. You know the change blindness experiments?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's a good example for the people listening. Imagine you put a camera on a two-story building and it's looking down over a university yard. And now imagine that you have tourists walking through the yard, and an undergraduate research associate comes up to a tourist with a map and asks the tourist to help him find his way. And while that's happening, walk between the person who's asking for directions and the tourist carrying a door. And the person asking the question grabs the door hidden from the tourist and continues walking with the door, and the person who is carrying the door stands there and continues asking the question with the map. And what Simon found was that the majority of people do not notice that the student has been swapped in the middle of the conversation. And the reason for that has to be that the perception of the student by the tourist is something like generic student asking for directions, and any student who's asking for directions at that point will fulfill that function or act as a player in that story. And so there's no reason to be surprised by the transformation, even though, quote, it's a different person. And that seems to add credence to this notion of a theory of identity or resemblance. Does that seem reasonable to you?
No, it seems very reasonable. 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 Seems very reasonable.
Demons, be gone!
Be gone, demons.
Be gone!
Leave this studio!